Mr. James Crawford, a well-known icon and living legend, not only in the Camden Catholic community, but in New Jersey and Philadelphia. Not only because of his 43 years of teaching, but because of the things he accomplished in the game of basketball. Little did you know, your Algebra 1 teacher is a Skyman. So, you graduated from Christ the King in 1965. There you played for your father, Jim Crawford, to be exact. What was that like?
It was a lot of fun playing for my father. You know, he coached at Christ the King for 40 years, and I've coached at Camden Catholic over 40 years. My three sons are now coaching. Maddie's here at Camden Catholic doing a great job. Kevin's at Eastern High School, and my son Michael's doing the freshman. Well, my dad was a good teacher of the game, but he also made it fun, and he taught us the game and taught us to respect the game and have a lot of love for it. So it was fun playing for him.
In the 1970s, you attend LaSalle University and you're their star forward. You earned the name Skyman. As a junior, you earned the Explorers MVP and led your team in scoring and in rebounding. People have now started to associate you with that name. How did this come about?
It's kind of a funny story, George. In grade school, my best friend Pete, his nickname, he had a big head, they called him Pumpkinhead, so they nicknamed me Pinhead. So then in high school, my high school basketball coach was our first aid teacher, Don Casey, does an alliteration with my name and calls me Crappy Crawford. So when I went from Pinhead to Crappy to Skyman, I kind of embraced the name. But the way it came about was I could jump very high, I could tap the ball in easily, and I could block shots and grab rebounds. But unbeknownst to myself and my teammates, back in the day there was only 4 channels, Channel 3, 6, 10, and UHF. And there was an announcer named Al Meltzer, and because of my jumping ability, he had nicknamed me the Skyman. But I didn't know this was going on, so then I'd walk around campus and people start calling me Skyman, and then my friends start calling me Skyman, my family start calling, but there weren't any reruns back then, so we really never got to see the live footage of our games. And then I go and play professional basketball for a year, and then I come to Camden Catholic as a teacher, and the kids in the hallway, they had seen me play 40, 50 times on TV, so all the kids at school were calling me Skyman back in the 1970s.
As the first selection in the 13th round of the 1973 NBA draft, you were selected by the Philadelphia 76ers. Not only that, you were an all Big Five selection and you were inducted into the Big Five Hall of Fame. And not only that, you were inducted into LaSalle's Hall of Athletes in 1989. Out of all of these things I just named, which one means the most to you?
They were all nice honors. I've received a lot of nice honors along the way. Being inducted in the Big Five Hall of Fame is special. It's really special because it was the mecca of Eastern basketball at the time. But to me, I kind of like team accomplishments more. The accomplishment that you didn't mention, but I'm very proud of, is my high school team that I played for. For the Career Pros, we were selected the team of the century, which means we were the best high school team in 100 years. And when you get to share an award with your teammates, that's what team sports are about. It makes you feel a lot better than the individual award.
What high school exactly was that?
It was Bishop Eustace back in the late 60s.
You won a championship with them.
We did. We were 26-0, and we did well. And we're still friends. That's what I like. You know, we're still friends and see each other all the time.
So in 1977, you take over the basketball program at Camden Catholic High School. The classroom was the court, and your lessons of teaching were teamwork, shooting, and life. What were some challenges you faced at the beginning stages of your coaching career?
The Camden Catholic did not have a good knowledge of the game. Basketball was not that important. They had a lot of 500 or sub-500 type of teams. So what I had to do is learn the culture of the school and embrace. I figured out that all the parents are sending their kids here to be disciplined, so I went strong on the discipline. And the more I asked the players to do, the more they responded. I asked them to run hard. I asked them to dive for loose balls, take charges, box out, and be gritty, and they did that, which is typical of what Camden Catholic stands for. And I just think that, I think, you know, like I look at you at auditorium the other day, that speech you gave to the group, and Mr. Bruckner has brought something out of you that is something special. I watched the personalities of Lauren and Sarah and Justin and Tom on the TV, and you guys are developing those personalities. Well, as teachers, we always want to bring things out of you students, and as a basketball coach, you especially want to do that, and that's kind of the approach I took when I first got in coaching, trying to convince the players they were good, try to teach them how to win, and they gave me all they had, and that made me feel good.
It took 24 years from the beginning of your coaching career until you won your first state championship in 2001. What did it take for you to get over the hump?
It took a lot of hard work. We had not won a state championship since 1944, and it took us 57 years to get there. And we just persevered, and we had a lot of growing pains along the way, but we just got better and better, and we learned from the team in front of us. Each one of our teams passed on something additional to the team behind them, and it just took a lot of hard work, George.
In the 35 years of coaching at Camden Catholic, you have on your resume 10 conference championships, 7 sectional championships, and 3 state championships, 2001, 2003, and 2010. From 1989 to 2011, which is 23 straight seasons, your teams have won 20 or more games. You were named South Jersey Coach of the Year 4 times by the Basketball Club of South Jersey, and you have been inducted into 7 different Hall of Fames. In 2011, you decide to retire as head coach of Camden Catholic with a record of 713 wins and only 238 losses. So you notice I said 713. That's how many wins you have over the 35 years you have been coaching at Camden Catholic. What does this number mean to you?
Well, it's a neat number. I mean, 35 years that you got to be the coach at Camden Catholic, that's something special. Just to be surrounded by all the people at Camden Catholic, be part of this community, is something I'm very proud of. That record of 23 straight years of 20 or more wins, because it shows consistency. It shows that our kids, I think that, again, the discipline of our kids taking good shots and playing for the team and not for the individual has led to that success, and it's indicative of that 23 season of wins.
So out of all the hundreds and hundreds of games you have witnessed in your 35 years of coaching, are there 1 or 2 that stick with you somehow, or do they have more significance than the other?
Yeah, I think, you talk to all the coaches around the building, Coach Shapiro, Coach Palladino, Coach Moffitt when he was here, Coach Terry, Matty Crawford, and so forth. Unfortunately, the coaches usually remember the losses more than they do the wins, because we want to do so well for the school. And when you get hit by a tough loss, it crumbles you a little bit. I do remember 10 or 15 times we beat the #1 team in South Jersey. We won 10 or 15 times at the Buzzard. We have won South Jersey in state championships, but the one that stays in my mind the most is a loss. We thought we had the state championship won in a desperation shot by Seton Hall at the end of, I think it was the 1996 season. Kid made one in desperation at the Buzzard, and we end up losing. But that's the one that stays in my mind. Unfortunately, it tarnishes a lot of success. But quite honestly, I thought the accomplishment of the 2001 team was pretty significant because it took 57 years for them to do it. But a lot of the players on that team were sophomores who ended up playing on the 2003 team that you mentioned. By the way, they're both being honored next Sunday for our Hall of Fame, which is really awesome. So 2003 team had to be a little bit stronger. 2010 team would rival them. They were just as good. A quick story on them. One time we playing for a state championship, 8 o'clock at night down Toms River. We go through a snowstorm and lines are coming down. And as we got in the gym, we're the 4th and final game. The lights went out in the gym, and the state officials decided to call the game off. We had to come back the next day. And I pleaded with them, can we please go to a back gym? Can we go down to another high school and play? Because we're ready to play the state championship. They said, no, you have to come back tomorrow, back down the Toms River. So as I'm addressing the team and telling them, the 2010 team, I realized in the middle of my 2-minute speech that, guys, we have practice. tonight. We have a game tomorrow. We're playing for the state championship tomorrow. So we got on a bus, drove all the way back to Camden Catholic, and we practiced. And the parents were very accommodating. They just stood there. They supported. They gave the rides for their kids back home afterwards. No one complained. And we ended up winning the game by 4 points the next game. And I always thought that St. Peter's, the #1 team in the state that we beat, did not practice, and we did. And I think that's, again, characteristic of Camden Catholic.
So we opened this interview talking about family. I like to end it talking about family. Can you talk about your transition into retirement as an assistant coach to your son, Matt Crawford, now being the head coach?
Well, it's very difficult because you have all this knowledge and experience that you want to share, but you have to learn to keep your mouth shut. And, it's not easy to do that, but I did. But I also was assistant coach for 3 years to Monsignor McDermott before I became coach, so I knew what the expectations of an assistant coach were. Very, very proud of what Maddie's doing. I think this year's going to be one of our strongest teams ever. I hope everybody comes out and watches Uche and Baba and Pat Corbett and Darian Rupels and Valen, and we have 3 great sophomores, Hicks and Hawkins and Dunn. So we're going to be exciting this year. But I'm very, very proud of what Matt's doing, and I have to learn to keep my mouth shut.
The Skyman Squadron is a long passed down tradition at Camden Catholic from the students as it recognizes and shows appreciation to the great Hall of Fame Irish career you have had over the many years. I mean, what do you think the Skyman Squadron means to the game of Camden Catholic basketball?
Well, you know, it's kind of pops in my mind. In 2007, the Skyman Squadron, everybody's there on their T-shirt. We're playing Paul VI in a state tournament game, and we started to hold the ball a little bit 4 minutes to go. It's a tie game. They didn't come out, so we held it to 3 minutes. Now they couldn't get the ball away from us. We waited for 4 minutes for one shot, and we made the shot with 2 seconds to go. The referee stops the game, restarts it. We end up winning with a steal, and you can see on the film just hundreds of Camden Catholic students running on. It just makes you feel so good. But that's the support that the squadron or any game in that senior section of bleachers, when those kids get all excited, it really sparks the team and helps us a lot. And hopefully we can get a lot of that out this season to support our guys.
Well, that was a whole lot of fun.
George, it was a lot of fun. Thank you very much for having me. I enjoyed it. Oh, that's nice. Didn't have to do that, but thank you. I appreciate that. I'll wear this with a lot of pride. Thank you.
Thank you.
George, thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome.